Marcus Thompson stood frozen in the doorway of his own bedroom, his duffel bag slipping from his shoulder and hitting the hardwood floor with a thud that echoed through the silence. His wife Alina lay tangled in their sheets with a man he had never seen before. Her eyes went wide with terror as she scrambled to cover herself. Before we continue with the story, kindly subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share in the comments where in the world you're watching from. We'd love to see how far this story travels. Now sit back, grab some popcorn and prepare yourself. And if you're ready, let's begin. The flight from Germany had taken 14 hours. Marcus had imagined this homecoming for months during his deployment. He had pictured Alina running into his arms, tears of joy streaming down her face. He had replayed that fantasy every night in his bunk while mortar fire shook the compound walls. This was not that fantasy. Alina's voice cracked as she whispered his name. The other man, dark-haired and younger than Marcus, grabbed his clothes and pushed past him without making eye contact. Marcus heard the front door slam seconds later. His heart pounded so hard he could feel it in his throat. "Marcus, please." Alina wrapped the sheet around herself and stood up. Her blonde hair was messy, her lipstick smeared. "Let me explain." He could not find words, his hands trembled. For 8 months he had written her letters. He had called whenever he could get a signal. He had worn her photo over his heart during every mission. She had written back every time, signed every message with love and promises of forever. "How long?" His voice came out rough, barely above a whisper. Alina's face crumpled, tears spilled down her cheeks. "Marcus, I never meant for this to happen." "How long?" He repeated the question louder this time. 3 months, she looked at the floor. "I was so lonely, you were gone and I didn't know if you were coming back. Every day I waited for a call that you were hurt or worse." Marcus laughed, but there was no humor in it. "So you decided to replace me while I was still alive." "It's not like that." Alina reached for him, but he stepped back. Her hand fell to her side. "I still love you." "Don't." The word came out sharp as broken glass. "Don't say that to me right now." He turned and walked out of the bedroom. His legs moved on autopilot, carrying him down the stairs and into the kitchen. Everything looked exactly the same as the day he left. The same white cabinets, the same coffee maker, the same wedding photo hanging on the wall. In that picture, they looked so happy, so sure of forever. Alina followed him downstairs, now wearing his old army shirt over her bare legs. That made it worse somehow. She had been with another man while wearing his clothes in his house. "Where are you going?" she asked as he grabbed his truck keys from the counter. "Anywhere but here." "Marcus, please don't leave. We need to talk about this." He spun around to face her. "Talk about what, Alina?" "About how my wife couldn't wait 8 months, about how everything I believed in was a lie." "It wasn't a lie." Fresh tears streamed down her face. "What we had was real, what we have is still real." Had he emphasized the past tense, what we had. Marcus walked toward the front door. Alina grabbed his arm, her fingers digging into his sleeve. "I made a mistake," she said desperately. "One terrible mistake, but we can fix this. We can go to counseling, we can work through it." He gently removed her hand from his arm. "I need space to think." "How much space? How long will you be gone?" Marcus did not answer. He could not look at her face anymore without seeing her in bed with that stranger, without feeling the knife twist deeper in his chest. He got into his truck and started the engine. Alina stood on the front porch, hugging herself against the October chill. Chicago's skyline rose in the distance, familiar but suddenly foreign. Everything felt wrong now. His phone buzzed. A text from his best friend Jake appeared on the screen. "Welcome home, brother, beer tonight." Marcus drove without destination, just letting the streets take him wherever they would. He ended up at Lake Michigan, parking near the water and staring at the waves. Seagulls circled overhead. A jogger passed by with her dog, normal people living normal lives while his world shattered into pieces. Another text came through, this time from Alina. "I'm so sorry, please come home so we can talk." He turned his phone face down on the passenger seat. The sun began to set over the water, painting the sky orange and pink, beautiful and cruel. Marcus had survived firefights and explosions. He had watched friends get injured and shipped home. He had faced death more times than he could count. None of that had prepared him for this kind of pain. His phone rang. Alina's name flashed on the screen. He let it go to voicemail. It rang again immediately, and again. On the fourth call, he answered. "What?" "Marcus, thank God. I was worried you'd do something crazy." "Like what?" "I'm the one who got betrayed here, Alina, not you." She was quiet for a moment. "Can you please just come home? We can't fix anything if you won't talk to me." "I don't know if there's anything to fix." "Don't say that," her voice broke. "Please don't say that. I love you. I know I messed up, but I love you." Marcus closed his eyes. Those words used to mean everything. Now they felt empty. "I'm staying at Jake's tonight," he said finally. "Don't call me again." He hung up before she could respond. The drive to Jake's apartment took 20 minutes. His friend opened the door with a smile that faded the moment he saw Marcus's face. "What happened?" Marcus walked inside and collapsed on the couch. "Alina's been cheating on me." Jake's jaw dropped. "What, are you serious?" "Came home early to surprise her, found her in our bed with some guy." "Oh man," Jake sat down beside him. "I'm so sorry, brother." Marcus stared at the ceiling, feeling numb now that the initial shock was wearing off. "I don't know what to do." "You're going to stay here as long as you need," Jake said firmly. "And tomorrow we're going to figure this out." But as Marcus lay awake that night on Jake's couch, he realized figuring it out meant making an impossible choice. Could he forgive the woman he had loved for 6 years, or was their marriage already dead? His phone lit up with another text from Alina. "There's something else I need to tell you, something important, please call me." Marcus stared at those words, his stomach dropping. What else could there possibly be? Marcus deleted the text without responding. He rolled over on Jake's couch, pulling the thin blanket up to his chin. Sleep would not come. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Alina with that man. I heard her voice saying she still loved him. The words felt like poison now. Morning light crept through the blinds. Jake was already up, making coffee in the small kitchen. The smell reminded Marcus of all those mornings in the barracks, preparing for another day in the desert heat. "You look terrible," Jake said, handing him a mug. "Feel worse." "Alina called me last night." Jake sat down across from him. "After you stopped answering." Marcus's grip tightened on the mug. "What did she say?" "That she made the biggest mistake of her life, that she needs to talk to you about something urgent." Jake paused. "She sounded really scared, man." "Good, she should be scared." "I'm not defending what she did," Jake said carefully, "but maybe you should hear her out, at least find out what she needs to tell you." Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Chicago was waking up below, people heading to work, grabbing breakfast, living their lives. He used to be one of them. Now he felt like a ghost watching from the outside. His phone rang again. Alina. He stared at her contact photo, the one from their honeymoon in Hawaii. She was laughing, the ocean behind her looking at him like he was her entire world. He answered, "What is it, Alina?" "Thank you for picking up." Her voice was hoarse, like she had been crying all night. "Can we meet? I need to see you face to face." "Why, so you can lie to me in person?" "I haven't lied to you. You've been sleeping with another man for 3 months. That's the biggest lie there is." Silence stretched between them. Marcus heard her breathing, uneven and shaky. "You're right," she said finally. "You're absolutely right, but there's something you need to know and I can't tell you over the phone. Please, Marcus, one conversation. After that, if you never want to see me again, I'll understand." Something in her tone made him pause. Beneath the guilt and fear, there was something else. Desperation maybe, or genuine terror. "Find the coffee shop on Clark Street, 1 hour." He hung up before she could thank him. Jake drove him to the coffee shop, offering to wait outside. Marcus walked in alone. Alina was already there, sitting at a corner table. She wore jeans and a sweater, no makeup. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked smaller somehow, fragile in a way he had never seen before. She stood when she saw him but did not try to hug him. "Thank you for coming." Marcus sat down without ordering anything. "You have 30 minutes talk." Alina wrapped her hands around her coffee cup like she needed something to hold onto. "First, I want you to know that what happened yesterday was the first time he came to the house. We usually met at his place." "That doesn't make it better." "I know, I'm just trying to be honest about everything now." She took a shaky breath. His name is David. I met him at the gym. We started talking and it was innocent at first, just friendly conversation. Marcus felt his jaw clench. I don't need the details. Yes, you do, because you need to understand how it happened. Her voice cracked. You were gone, Marcus, 8 months. I went to bed alone every night, terrified that I'd get a call saying you were dead. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. The loneliness was drowning me. So you found comfort in another man's bed. It was wrong. I know it was wrong. Tears spilled down her cheeks. But I was falling apart and David was there and he listened, and one night I just broke. One night turned into 2, then more, and suddenly I was in too deep to stop. Marcus stared at her, trying to reconcile this woman with the one he married. Did you love him? No, she said it without hesitation. I never loved him. It was just escape, a way to not feel so alone and scared. And what about now? Is it over? I ended it last night, told him never to contact me again. Alina reached across the table toward his hand, but he pulled back. Marcus, I know I hurt you. I know I broke your trust, but we can fix this if you're willing to try. You keep saying that, but some things can't be fixed, Alina. Please don't say that. Her voice rose, desperate. We made vows for better or worse. This is the worst part, but we can get through it. Marcus laughed bitterly. You don't get to use our wedding vows as a defense after you broke them. Alina flinched like he had slapped her. She wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. There's more, something I need to tell you, and you're going to hate me even more after you hear it. His stomach tightened. What? I'm pregnant. The words hit him like a physical blow. Marcus felt the air leave his lungs. The coffee shop sounds faded into white noise. All he could hear was his own heartbeat thundering in his ears. How far along? His voice came out flat, emotionless. Almost 3 months. 3 months, right in the middle of her affair. Marcus did the math in his head, his mind racing. He had been home on leave 4 months ago for 1 week before deploying again. They had spent those 7 days barely leaving the bedroom, trying to soak up enough of each other to last the separation. But she had also been with David for 3 months. Is it mine? The question tasted like ash in his mouth. Alina's face went white. I don't know. Marcus stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly against the floor. Other customers looked over. He did not care. He needed air. He needed space. He needed to be anywhere but here. Marcus, wait. Alina grabbed his wrist. Please don't go, not like this. He looked down at her hand on his arm, then at her face. The woman he had loved, the woman carrying a baby that might not be his. Let me go, Alina. We can do a paternity test. We can figure this out. There's nothing to figure out right now, except that I can't be near you. He pulled away and walked toward the door. Alina followed him outside onto the sidewalk. People rushed past them, completely unaware of the disaster unfolding. Where are you going? She asked. I don't know, anywhere you're not. This is your baby, Marcus. I know it is. I can feel it. He turned to face her one last time. Feelings aren't facts, and right now the only fact I know is that my wife cheated on me and got pregnant, and there's a 50-50 chance that kid isn't mine. It's higher than 50-50. We were together that week in June. So was David, apparently. Alina's face crumpled. I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. Marcus walked away. He heard her calling his name, but he kept going. His phone buzzed in his pocket. A text from her appeared on his screen. I love you, please don't give up on us. He turned off his phone and kept walking. Jake picked him up 3 blocks away. One look at Marcus's face told him everything he needed to know. That bad? Worse, Marcus stared out the window. She's pregnant and she doesn't know if it's mine. Jake swore under his breath, man, I'm sorry. Marcus did not respond. He watched Chicago blur past, wondering how his life had fallen apart so completely in less than 24 hours. His phone, now turned back on, buzzed with a new message, but this time it was not from Alina. It was from an unknown number. We need to talk about Alina. You deserve to know the truth. Meet me at Grant Park tomorrow at noon. Come alone. Marcus stared at the message, his blood running cold. Who was this? And what truth could possibly be worse than what he already knew? Marcus barely slept that night. He kept staring at the mysterious text message, reading it over and over. Jake had told him to ignore it, that it was probably some kind of scam, but something told Marcus this was real. Someone knew something about Alina, something he needed to hear. The next morning arrived cold and gray. November wind whipped through Chicago's streets as Marcus made his way to Grant Park. He arrived 15 minutes early and found a bench near the fountain. His military training kicked in automatically. He scanned the area looking for threats, for anything out of place. At exactly noon, a man approached, tall, dark hair, expensive suit. Marcus recognized him immediately. It was David, the man from his bedroom. Marcus stood up, his fists clenching. "You've got some nerve." David raised his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I know you want to hit me, I deserve it, but please just hear me out first. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't knock you out right now." "Because Alina has been lying to both of us." David's voice was steady, but his eyes showed genuine distress. "And you need to know everything before you make any decisions about your marriage." Marcus wanted to walk away, he wanted to throw a punch, but curiosity kept him rooted to the spot. "Talk fast." David sat down on the bench. After a moment, Marcus sat too, keeping distance between them. Joggers passed by. A woman pushed a stroller. Life continued normally around them while Marcus's world kept crumbling. "Alina told you the affair started 3 months ago, right?" David asked. "Yeah, at the gym." "That's partially true. We did meet at the gym, but it wasn't 3 months ago." David pulled out his phone and scrolled through something. "It was 7 months ago, 2 weeks after you deployed." Marcus felt like he had been punched in the stomach. "You're lying." "I wish I was." David showed him his phone. Text messages between him and Alina dated back to April. Flirty at first, then more intimate. Photos, plans to meet up. "She told me you two were separated, that you were getting divorced when you got back from overseas." "That's not true, we were fine when I left." "I know that now." David put his phone away. "I found out 3 days ago. I came to her house yesterday to confront her about it. I didn't know you were coming home. When you walked in, I realized I'd been played." Marcus stood up and paced. His mind raced, trying to process this new information. 7 months. Alina had been with David for 7 months, not 3. She had lied to his face in the coffee shop yesterday. "Why are you telling me this?" Marcus asked. "Because I'm not a home wrecker. I don't sleep with married women." David's voice hardened. "Alina made me believe I was helping her move on from a failed marriage. She showed me divorce papers, said you'd both agreed to split up." "Divorce papers? Fake ones, I'm guessing, or maybe she had them drawn up and never told you." David stood up too. "Look, I know you hate me, I hate myself right now, but you need to know who you're really married to before you decide whether to forgive her." Marcus's phone buzzed. "Alina," he declined the call. "There's more," David said quietly. "The baby." Marcus's heart stopped. "What about it?" "She told me she was pregnant 2 weeks ago, said it was definitely mine, that the timing lined up perfectly." David met Marcus's eyes. "She asked me to leave my job and move to Seattle with her, start fresh somewhere new." The betrayal cut deeper with every word. Marcus felt like he was drowning. "You're saying she was planning to leave me, take my baby and run?" "If it's your baby," she seemed pretty convinced it was mine. Marcus sat back down, his legs suddenly weak. Alina had not just cheated, she had built an entire alternate life, made plans to abandon their marriage completely, and she had lied about all of it even after getting caught. "Why didn't you agree to go?" Marcus asked. "Because something felt off. She was too eager, too pushy, so I did some digging." David pulled out a folder from his jacket. "Hired a private investigator, found out she's been doing this for years." "What do you mean years?" David handed him the folder. "During your last deployment 2 years ago, there was a guy named Ryan, same story, told him you two were separated, had an affair for 5 months until you came home." Marcus opened the folder with shaking hands. Photos of Alina with a different man, restaurant receipts, hotel records, text messages, all dated from 2 years ago during his 8-month deployment to Afghanistan. "Before Ryan, there was someone else during your first deployment and probably others I haven't found yet." David's voice was gentle now, almost pitying. "I'm sorry, man, but your wife has a pattern." Marcus closed the folder. He felt numb, beyond pain, beyond anger, just empty. "Does she know you know all this?" Marcus asked. No, I was planning to cut ties and disappear, but then I thought about you, thought about how she'd probably feed you some story about making one mistake and you'd forgive her and the cycle would continue. David stood up. You seem like a decent guy, you deserve better than this. Why do you care what happens to me? Because I almost helped her destroy your life without knowing it. That's on me. This is me trying to make it right. David walked away, leaving Marcus alone on the bench with the folder. Marcus sat there for an hour staring at nothing. People passed by, but he barely noticed. His phone kept buzzing with calls and texts from Alina. He ignored them all. Finally, he opened the folder again and really looked at the evidence. Years of lies, years of betrayal. Every deployment, every time he put his life on the line for his country, Alina had been building secret relationships with other men. The woman he thought he knew did not exist. Maybe she never had. Marcus stood up and walked back to Jake's apartment. His friend took one look at his face and grabbed 2 beers from the fridge without asking questions. It's worse than we thought, Marcus said. He told Jake everything, showed him the folder, watched his friend's expression go from shock to anger to disgust. You need a lawyer, Jake said firmly, like yesterday. I know. And you need to stop answering her calls, she's just going to lie more. Marcus nodded, his phone buzzed again. But this time it was not Alina, it was a voicemail from a number he did not recognize. He put it on speaker. A woman's voice filled the room, professional, crisp. Mr. Thompson, this is Patricia Simmons from Dawson and Associates Family Law. Your wife came to see me this morning. She's filing for divorce and requesting full custody of the unborn child, spousal support, and half of all marital assets, including your military pension. As her husband, you're entitled to be notified. I suggest you retain legal counsel immediately. The voicemail ended. Marcus and Jake stared at each other in stunned silence. Alina was not asking for forgiveness anymore. She was going for his throat. Marcus called the number back immediately. Patricia Simmons answered on the second ring. He explained who he was and what had happened. She listened without interrupting, then gave him the name of the best divorce attorney in Chicago. Within 2 hours, Marcus sat in the office of Robert Chen, a sharp-eyed lawyer with 20 years of experience in military divorces. She's moving fast, Robert said, reviewing the paperwork Alina had filed. Filing first gives her a strategic advantage, makes you look like the defendant instead of the victim. Marcus slid David's folder across the desk. Will this help? Robert opened it and whistled low. This helps a lot. Illinois is a no-fault divorce state, but infidelity absolutely matters in custody and asset division cases, especially a pattern of infidelity. He looked up at Marcus. Where did you get this? The other guy hired a private investigator. Smart man, this shows premeditation, deception, and a pattern of abandonment. A judge will consider this when determining fitness for custody. Robert made notes on his legal pad. We need to file a counterpetition immediately, contest everything she's asking for. What about the baby? Marcus asked quietly. If it's mine, I want custody. If it's not, I want out clean. We'll request a court-ordered paternity test as soon as the child is born. Until then, we build your case. Robert leaned forward. Mr. Thompson, I'm going to be honest with you. This is going to get ugly. Your wife is playing hardball, which means she's either desperate or she's been planning this. Marcus thought about the fake divorce papers David mentioned, probably both. Over the next week, Marcus moved out of Jake's couch and into a small studio apartment. Robert filed the counterpetition. Alina's lawyer responded aggressively. The legal battle had begun. Alina called him constantly. He never answered. She showed up at Jake's apartment, but Jake had already moved Marcus out and refused to say where he went. She sent emails, text messages, even tried to reach him through his army contacts. Marcus blocked her everywhere. Then one evening she found him. Marcus returned to his apartment after meeting with Robert and found Alina sitting in the hallway outside his door. She looked terrible. Thinner than before, dark circles under her eyes. Her hands rested on a small baby bump that had not been visible a week ago. How did you find me? Marcus asked. I hired someone. She stood up slowly. We need to talk. We have lawyers for that. Please, Marcus, 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. Against his better judgment, he unlocked the door and let her in. The apartment was sparse. A mattress on the floor, a folding chair, some boxes. He had not bothered to make it home. This was just a place to sleep. Alina looked around, her eyes filling with tears. I'm so sorry it came to this. You filed for divorce, you tried to take everything from me, you don't get to be sorry. I panicked. She sat down on the folding chair. Patricia said I needed to protect myself and the baby, that you'd try to punish me through the courts. Marcus laughed bitterly. Punish you? Alina, you destroyed our marriage, you cheated on me for years. You planned to run away with another man and my baby. Her face went pale. What are you talking about? It was only David, only 3 months. Stop lying. Marcus pulled out his phone and showed her the photos from the folder. Ryan, 2 deployments ago, 5 months, and someone else before that. David told me everything, showed me proof. Alina's hands started shaking. David's lying, he's trying to turn you against me. He showed me text messages, hotel receipts, restaurant bills, all of it. Marcus's voice was cold now. You've been doing this every time I deploy, telling these men we're separated, building whole relationships while I'm overseas risking my life. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Alina broke down crying, not delicate tears but deep, choking sobs. I couldn't handle being alone. Every deployment I'd fall apart. The fear, the loneliness, the constant terror that you'd come home in a box. I needed someone to make me feel safe. So you betrayed me over and over. I never stopped loving you. She looked up at him, mascara running down her face. Every time you came home, I ended it with whoever I was seeing. I chose you every time. Until you got pregnant and tried to run to Seattle with David. Alina's mouth opened, then closed. She had no defense for that. Get out, Marcus said quietly. The baby is yours, I know it is. You told David it was his, so which lie am I supposed to believe? I was confused, I didn't know what to do. She stood up, walking toward him. But I've done the math over and over. The timing matches when you were home on leave. This is your baby, Marcus. We'll find out when it's born. Until then, stay away from me. Alina reached for his hand, he pulled back. Please don't do this, don't throw away 6 years of marriage. You already threw it away, I'm just cleaning up the mess. She left quietly, her shoulders shaking with sobs. Marcus locked the door behind her and sat on his mattress. His phone buzzed with a text from Robert. Good news, Alina's lawyer reached out about settlement talks. She's willing to negotiate. Marcus called him back immediately. What changed? My guess, she knows we have evidence that will destroy her in court. She wants to settle before it goes public. Robert's voice was professional, measured. We can push for favorable terms. What do you want? Marcus thought about it. I want the house. I want to keep my pension. I want a paternity test done as soon as medically safe. If the baby's mine, I want joint custody minimum. If it's not mine, I want out with no financial obligations to either of them. I can make that happen. What about spousal support? I'll give her 6 months to get on her feet. After that, she's on her own. You're being generous. I'm being done. The settlement negotiations took 3 weeks. Alina fought on some points, conceded on others. The paternity test would be done immediately after birth using a simple cheek swab. Marcus would keep the house and his full pension. Alina would receive 6 months of temporary support and half their savings. Custody would be determined after paternity was established. They signed the papers in December. The divorce would be finalized after the baby was born and paternity was confirmed. Marcus spent Christmas alone in the house that felt too big and too empty. He thought about calling Alina, seeing how she was doing, but he stopped himself. That chapter was over. In February, Alina went into labor. She called Marcus from the hospital. He almost did not answer, but something made him pick up. It's time, she said softly. The baby's coming. Marcus drove to the hospital, not because he forgave her, not because he wanted to reconcile, but because there was a chance this baby was his, and if it was, he wanted to be there from the first moment. He arrived to find Alina in a delivery room, alone. No family, no David, just her. You came, she whispered. Only for the baby. 8 hours later, a healthy baby girl entered the world. The nurse placed her in Alina's arms. She had dark hair and tiny fists. Marcus stared at her, feeling something crack open in his chest. "She's beautiful," Alina said through tears. "Do you want to hold her?" Marcus took the baby carefully. She was so small, so perfect. She opened her eyes and looked at him.